Hi guys, today we're going to go through the Cambridge IGCSE Mathematics Paper 4 for May and June 2020. So to start off with, on question 1A, the sign shows the fees charged at a campsite. Today there are 54 tents and 18 caravans on the site. Calculate the fees charged today. So the total fees is equals to 54 tents multiplied by $15 plus 18 caravans multiplied by $25. That would give you a total of $1260. Therefore, the total is 1260. Now let's look at question 1B. In September, the total income of the campsite was $37054. This was a decrease of 4.5% on the total income in August. Calculate the total income in August. So using the compound interest formula, we have A equals to P bracket 1 minus R over N to the power of NT. By rearranging the formula, we get P equals to A over 1 minus R N to the power of NT. So by substituting the relevant information in, we got A equals to 37054, N equals to 12, T equals to 1 over 12, and R equals to 12 multiplied by 4.5 divided by 100. Therefore, we get P equals to 37054 divided by 1 minus 12 times 4.5 over 12 times 100 to the power of 12 divided by 12. By plugging all of this into the calculator, you should get a total of 38800. Therefore, the answer is 38800. In question 1C, it mentions that the visitor to the campsite today are in the ratio of men to women 5 to 4 and women to children 3 to 7. Calculate the ratio of men to women to children in its simplest form. So the common ground that we have here is woman in both parties. Therefore, the key information would be to make the ratio the same for the woman. Therefore, it allows you to combine these ratios together. So to start off with, men to woman initially is 5 to 4. So multiply that by 3, you get 15 to 12. And for woman to children, you get 3 to 7 as the initial ratio. So multiply that by 4, you get 12 to 28. Therefore, the ratio of women is the same in both parties, which allows you to combine them together. Ratio of men to woman to children equals to 15, 12, 28. And that's your final answer. 15, 12, 28. Now, in C part 2, it mentions that today there are 224 children at the campsite. Calculate the total number of men and women. Therefore, to get this answer, you use the information that was given in C part 1. To calculate the total number of men and women, it is equals to 224, which is the number of children, multiply by 15, which is the ratio for men, plus 12, which is the ratio of women, divide by 28, which is the ratio of children. This will give you 216, and that's the answer for the total number of men and women. In question 1D, it mentions that the space allowed for each tent is a rectangle measuring by 8 meters by 6 meters, each correct to the nearest meter. Calculate the upper bound for the area of the space allowed for each tent. So the upper bound would be the upper limit for 8 meters and 6 meters when you consider rounding them. So therefore the upper bound is 8.5, which is from 8 meters, multiplied by 6.5, which is the upper bound of 6 meters. This gives you 55.25 meters squared, and that is the answer. Now in 1E, it mentions that the value of the campsite has increased exponentially by 1.5% every year since it opened 30 years ago. Calculate the value of the campsite now as a percentage of its value 30 years ago. So using the compound interest formula, which is A equals to P bracket 1 plus R over N to the power of NT, we are trying to give the results as a percentage rather than the values. Therefore, we would need to rearrange the equation to A over P multiplied by 100. That would give the answer as a percentage, which would equals to 100 multiplied by 1 plus R over N to the power of N to NT. So this is what we need to calculate the percentage increased of its value 30 years ago. So using the information given in the question, N equals to 1 because it's paid every year, T equals to 30 because it's 30 years, and R equals to 1.5 over 100 because it increased exponentially by 1.5%. Therefore, 100A over P equals to 100 multiplied by 1 plus 1.5 over 1, which is the N, multiplied by 100, which is from the R, to the power of 1 times 30. This would therefore give you 156%. Therefore, the final answer is 156%. So in question 2A, which is this question, it mentions to draw the image of triangle A after a reflection in the line y equals negative x. So the line of y equals negative x is this line, which is the mirror line, where y equals to negative x. Every value of positive x becomes negative x. So because we have the mirror line y equals negative x, every value of x, whether if it's positive, it becomes negative. If it's negative, it becomes positive. Likewise for the y value. So let's look at the first value. So because x is So because we have a mirror line with y equals to negative x, the values of the existing So because of the mirror line that we have with y equals to negative x, every value in the existing triangle A will become, if it's positive, it will become negative, and if it's x, it will become y. Likewise, y will become x. So to start off with, let's look at this first value, where x equals to 1 and y equals to 2. Because of this mirror line, it will flip. Therefore, x becomes negative 2. here, and y becomes -1, which is this value here. And to look at this coordinates, it will be the same. So coordinates for this point is 1, 8. And because of this mirror line, it becomes -8, -1. For this final point here, the final point is 5, 2. And because of the mirror line, it becomes -2, -5. So by drawing your triangle, you now have the image of A after the reflection of in the line y equals -x. Now let's look at question 2a part 2. So let's clear this drawing. Now we have 2a part 2. So 2a part 2 mentions to draw the image of triangle A after a translation by a vector of -2, -9. So -2 represents a shift in the x-axis, and -9 represents a shift in the y-axis because it's a translation vector. So if we take all 3 points of this triangle, the first one here, 1, 2, it would go 1, 2 because -2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Therefore, it will be -1 and -7 as the first point. So now let's look at the second point. 1, 8. You go 2 to the left, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. -1, -1. And let's look at the final point. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, which is this point here. Therefore, by joining the triangle points together, you get the image. And this is the answer for 2a part 2. Now let's look at 2b part 1. Let's clear out this page. So in B part 1, it mentions to describe fully the single transformation that maps triangle A onto triangle B. Because the question is 3 marks, therefore you need to give 3 points. This is triangle B and this is triangle A. Now let's look at triangle A and triangle B. So obviously the size has changed between triangle A and triangle B. Therefore, because of that, it is an enlargement transformation, but just smaller rather than bigger. So we know that 1, it is an enlargement, which will give you 1 point, and with a scale factor of half, because this is the initial triangle, this is the after triangle, and as you can see, the size, the length of it, this is 4 squares. It becomes 2 squares. Whereas if you look at the vertical side, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares, and it becomes 3 squares. So that shows that it has shrunk, which is why it is an enlargement with a scale factor of half. Now, to find the last point, which is the center of the enlargement, what you have to do is you have to join the 3 points together. So the last point now you need for the final mark is the center of the enlargement. And what you need to do is you need to join the 3 points of the 2 triangles together. So you need to draw a straight line that joins this point and this point together, that point and that point together, and this point and this point together. So let me draw that out and show you what I mean. So now that we have drawn the 3 lines, as you can see on the screen, you find the point where it all intersects, which is, this is an estimate, which is this point. So it's usually more accurate when you draw it by hand on paper. And this point here is -7, 8. Therefore, to answer 2b part 1, it is an enlargement with a scale factor of half at center -7, 8. Now in the final part of question 2, we can see, let's clear this first. We can see that it says, describe fully the single transformation that maps triangle A onto triangle C, which is these two. So, because it's 3 marks as well, as shown here, therefore we will need 3 points. The 3 points are, 1, the type of transformation, as you can see, because it has already rotate, therefore it is a rotation. And because it has rotate, if we were to look at this base, it has rotate clockwise 90 degrees, like this. Therefore, it is a rotation. The direction is 90 degrees clockwise. And for the final point, we will need to show the center of the rotation. At which point did it rotate about? And I'll show you shortly in the drawing. Okay, so if you were to look at the diagram first, ignore the 2 lines on the screen. So first things first, you need to label each triangle, where it's A, B, and C. And on the other side, it would be image A, image B, and image C, which is at the exact same spot of the triangle. So what you will need now is a compass to do a perpendicular bisector of the line. So how it works is you take the 2 points initially, A and A1. Obviously you have a distance between them, which is this one. You take your compass, make sure that your compass starts at A dash and it's at the point that is further than the center. As long as it's further from the center, then it's okay. You will then make sure you do an arc at any point, which is somewhere here and here. Then you repeat the step on A, this point here, which will give you a second arc, something like this. So by having 2 arcs, you would have a cross on both sides, which is here and here. That would allow you to draw a straight line, as shown on the screen, which is this one here. So after you have drawn a straight line for A and A1, now you can do the same for B. So using the 2 points here and here as well, you use a compass. You have the distance here. Just make sure that if you choose to start at B dash, that you place your second point of the compass somewhere ahead of the center. It can be here, here, or here, as long as it's further from the center. So once you have done that, you draw an arc as well on the left and right side, which is, let's say, somewhere here and somewhere here. You repeat that point at B, putting your compass at B and drawing the arc where it intersects. In theory, it should intersect at this straight line, which is drawn there just to make things easier and clearer. So this straight line that you see has to be drawn by you. And how is it drawn? By connecting this intersection point with this intersection point. So once you have connected it, you get a point of intersection. The point where the 2 lines intersect is the center of rotation. So here, the center of rotation is 0, 0. Therefore, the final answer for 2B part 2 is rotation 90 degrees clockwise at center 0, 0. And that's your final answer. Now let's move on to question 3. So question 3 mentions that here are some information about the masses of potatoes in a set. On the grid below, draw a box and whisker plot to show the information. So I'll draw it and I'll explain it to you shortly. So this is how it's supposed to look once you have drawn it. So how do we get the relevant information from the diagram itself? Let's go through it one by one. First point, it mentions the largest potato has a mass of 174 grams, which is 174, this point here. The range is 69 grams. So range is the length, the distance in between the highest and the lowest point. We know the highest point, which is 174. Therefore, 174 minus 69 gives us 105, which is this point here. Now let's move on to the next one. The median is 148 grams, which is this point here. And the lower quartile is 121, which is this point here. So the interquartile range is 38 grams. We know that the formula for interquartile range is upper quartile minus lower quartile. We know the lower quartile, we know the interquartile range, therefore upper quartile equals to 121 plus 38. This will give us 159. And therefore you have all the values that you need to draw the box and whisker plot. Now in question 3b, it shows that the table shows the marks scored by some students in a test. Calculate the mean mark. To calculate the mean mark, you just need to multiply the mark by the frequencies, add them all together, divide by the total frequency, and that will give you the mean mark. How does that look? So you would multiply 5 times 8 plus 6 times 2 plus 7 times 12 plus 8 times 2 plus 9 times 0 plus 10 times 1. Add them all together, divide by the total frequency, which is adding all these values together. You would get a total of 25. So when you run this in a calculator, you will get a final answer of 6.48 to 3 significant figures. Therefore, the final answer for the mean mark is 6.48. Now let's move on to question 4. So in question 4, it mentions to solve the inequalities. So you have 3m plus 12, which is less than and equals to 8m minus 5. You rearrange the equation by bringing all the m's to one side and all the numbers to one side. That will give you 12 plus 5, which is less than and equals to 8m minus 5m, minus 3m. And let's flip it around to make it easier. So you have 5m, which is greater and equals to 17. Now you move 5 over, which is m is greater and equals to 17 over 5. Therefore, m is greater and equals to 3.40. And that's the final answer. Now to look at B, it mentions to solve the equation of this. So let's look at it together. We have 2x plus 5 over 3 minus x equals to 14 over 15. What we would do next is cross multiply it together. We would get 15 bracket 2x plus 5 equals to 14 bracket 3 minus x. By expanding the bracket, we get 30x plus 75 equals to 42 minus 14x. Now bring all the x to the left side, all the numbers to the right side. So we get 44x equals to negative 33. X equals to negative 33 over 44, which would give us negative 0.75. Therefore, x equals to negative 0.75. So in question 4c, it mentions to solve the simultaneous equation, you must show all you're working out. So we have the first equation, which is y equals to 4 minus x. The second equation, which is x squared plus 2y squared equals to 67. So the first step is substitute equation 1 into equation 2. We would therefore get x squared plus 2 bracket 4 minus x, which is from the y, square equals to 67. Now by expanding this bracket, we get x squared plus 2, 4 minus x, 4 minus x equals to 67. We would therefore get x squared plus 2, 16 minus 8x plus x squared equals to 67. By multiplying and expanding this bracket, we get x squared plus 32 minus 16x plus 2x squared, and move this over as well. Minus 67 equals 0. Therefore, we get 3x squared minus 16x minus 35 equals 0. Now let's simplify it to get the 2x points. We get 3x x equals to 0. So multiplication to get 35 is 5 and 7. 5 times 7 is 35, and we need to figure out which one is positive, which one is negative. If we put negative here and plus here, 7 times 3 is 21. So negative 21 plus 5 gives you negative 16, which is correct. Therefore, this is right. Now, with the individual bracket, we get 3x plus 5 equals to 0. X equals to negative 5 over 3. The second one, or x minus 7 equals to 0, x equals to 7. So now that we have the two coordinates, we can solve to get y. So if x equals to negative 5 over 3, y equals to 4 minus x here, which is negative 5 over 3. And therefore, that would give us, on a calculator, 17 over 3. If x equals to 7, y equals to 4 minus 7, which would therefore give us negative 3. Therefore, x equals to 7, y equals to negative 3, x equals to negative 5 over 3, y equals to 17 over 3. And that's your answer for C. So what we have now is the diagram and the area. So we will need to calculate what length EF is. So length EF equals to 2x, which is this length here, minus this length, x plus 3. This will therefore give you 2x minus 3, which will equals to x minus 3. So this length is x minus 3. Now that we know that length, we can calculate the area of the small square and the big square. So area of small square equals to x minus 3 multiplied by x plus 1. That would give you x squared minus 3x plus x minus 3, which would therefore give you x squared minus 2x minus 3. Now, the area of big square, it would equals to this length here, 4x minus 5 multiplied by this length here, which is x plus 3. You would get 4x squared plus 12x minus 5x minus 15, which would therefore give you 4x squared plus 7x minus 15. Now that you have both the areas, you can add them together and make them equals to 342. So total area equals to x squared minus 2x minus 3, which is the area of the small square, plus 4x squared plus 7x minus 15 equals to 342, which is the total area here. So by combining that together and bringing 342 over, what you get is 5x squared plus 5x minus 18 minus 342 equals to 0, which will give you 5x squared plus 5x minus 360 equals to 0. Now let's divide all of them by the common factor of 5. You get x squared plus x minus 72 equals to 0, which is this information here. Therefore, you have proven that with the areas, you can show that x squared plus x minus 72 equals to 0. So now that we have the information, the next question asks us to solve by factorization of this formula. So we have x squared plus x minus 72 equals to 0. We split them into two brackets. You have x, you have x. What multiplies by what gives you 72? 9 multiplied by 8 gives you 72. But one has to be positive, one has to be negative to get this negative sign. So 9 is positive, 8 is negative, because 9x minus 8x gives you 1x. So it's correct. Therefore, x equals to minus 9 and x equals to 8, which is the final answer for part B. Now in question C, it says to work out the perimeter of the shape ABCDEF. We know the length of EF already, which is previously calculated, that was x minus 3. So now we have to work out the length of DE. The length DE equals to length BC, which is 4x minus 5 minus the length AF, which is x plus 1. This would therefore give you 3x minus 6. Now that you have all the lengths of these two rectangles, you can add them up together. Therefore, perimeter equals to 2x plus x plus 1 plus x minus 3 plus 3x minus 6 plus x plus 3 plus 4x minus 5. This will give you, if you add them all together, 12x minus 10. And because we have worked out x from the previous answer, x is either 8 or negative 9. X cannot be negative 9 because you would get a negative number. Therefore, the only option is x equals to 8. And because of that, the perimeter equals to 12x, which is 8, minus 10. This will give you on the calculator 86 cm. Therefore, the perimeter is 86. Now to calculate angle DBC. With angle DBC, you need to use trigonometry. So you need to work out lengths DC first and BC. Length DC equals to x plus 3. But we know x equals to 8. So equals to 8 plus 3. That will give you 11 cm. Now we have length BC equals to 4x minus 5 equals to bracket 4 multiplied by x, which is 8, minus 5, that will give you 27 cm. With the two lengths that you have now, and you need to calculate the angle, you need to use trigonometry. So you have the angle DBC, which is, let's just call it angle DBC. You have the lengths, which is 11 cm and 27 cm. So you have, with a different color, hypotenuse, opposite, adjacent. You know two of the values, you can use tangent. Tangent angle DBC equals opposite, which is 11 over adjacent, 27. Bring tangent over, you get angle DBC equals to 10 to the power of -1 of 11 over 27. By plugging that into the calculator, you get an answer of 22.2 degrees. And that's the final answer. Okay, let's move on to question 6. So for question 6, the diagram shows that triangle ABC with point G inside, CB is 11 cm, CG is 5.3 cm, and BG is 6.9 cm. Angle CAB is 42 and angle ACG is 54. So therefore, with all those information, calculate the value of x. So with x, you have this triangle here, and we can use the cosine rule. The formula for cosine rule is a square equals to b square plus c square minus 2bc cos a. So with the angle here, this is angle A, and a small a is the length opposite. B and C can be either one of them, B, C. So with the formula now, we have to rearrange it to find A. By rearranging, we have 2bc cos A equals to b square plus c square minus a square. Then if we bring it over, we have cos A equals to b square plus c square minus a square over 2bc. Now with everything over, we can finally bring cos over as well. So A equals to cos -1 of b square plus c square minus a square over 2bc. By substituting it into the numbers into the formula, we get cos -1 b square, which is 5.3 square, plus 11 square minus 6.9 square over 2 times 5.3 times 11. By plugging that into the calculator, we get angle BCG, which is x, equals to 29.5 degrees. Therefore, x is 29.5. Now, by moving on to the second part of the question, it mentions to calculate AC, which is this length here. So with the length AC, you have this length here. You need to calculate this angle. You have this angle, and you have this length as well. So let's calculate angle ABC first. Using the information from the previous calculation, we have angle ACB, which is this one here, equals to 54 plus x, which is 29.5. This will give you 83.5 degrees. Now that you know this angle here, you can work out this angle here. So angle ABC equals to 180 degrees, which is the total. When you add all three of them together, you get 180, minus 42 minus 83.5. This would give you 54.5 degrees. So now that you know this angle, you can use the sine rule. The sine rule states that sine of angle ABC, which is 54.5 degrees, divided by the length here, which is length AC, equals to another sine of the angle. Let's use CAB, which is this one, 42 over its opposite length, which is 11. So by rearranging this equation, we get AC equals to 11 times sine 54.5 divided by sine 42. Putting that in a calculator, we would get 13.4 cm. Therefore, length AC is 13.4 cm. So the question says that the water flows at a speed of 20 cm per second along a rectangular channel into a lake. The width of the channel is 15 cm and the depth of the water is 2.5 cm. Calculate the amount of water that flows from the channel into the lake in 1 hour and give your answers in liters. So we know that 1 cm cube equals to 0.001 liter. Therefore, we will need to calculate the total volume in cm cube and convert that to liters. The question gives us that it's 1 hour and the water flows at a speed of 20 cm per second. Therefore, 1 hour equals to 60 minutes equals to 3,600 seconds. For water flows in 1 hour equals to the speed, which is 20 cm per second, multiplied by the time, 3,600. We would get 72000 cm. Therefore, the volume of water in 1 hour equals to 72000 multiplied by the width, 15, multiplied by the depth, which is 2.5. This would give you 2.7 times 10 to the power of 6 cm cube in standard form. So now that we know the volume of the water in cm cube, we will need to convert it to liters. Therefore, volume of water equals to 2.7 times 10 to the power of 6 multiplied by 10 to the power of negative 3, which is from here. Therefore, you would get 2700 liters. And that's the final answer. So for the remaining questions of question 7 to questions 12 in this paper, I will be going through them in the next video. So hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, please do leave some comments below. Thanks for watching and please support my channel and share this video with any of your friends who may find this helpful. Stay safe and see you in the next video.